This conference will now be recorded.
Now you're responsible. It is 7:30. We have a quorum. I will call the meeting to order. First item of business is the pledge of allegiance. Please begin your hands. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, next item of business is the reorganization and official designations. We will start with the town board chairperson. We're entertaining a motion to either a motion or a nomination.
Make a motion to keep Gene Stokel as the chairman.
I'd second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to keep Gene Stokel as chairman. Is there any further discussion? Is there any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of keeping Gene Stokel as town board chairman, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Next item is vice chair.
I move the motion to keep Thomas Duden as vice chair.
Motion's made. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to have Thomas Duden remain as vice chair. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to keep Thomas Duden as vice chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. For secretary,
Historically, the clerk has done the secretarial.
we have to have a designated
Okay,
person.
in case Doug or,
Yeah.
okay. I move to appoint Mr. Hiller.
Motion been made to appoint Mr. Hiller. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint Mr. Hiller as secretary. Is there any further, any discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of Dan Hiller for secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Township Planning Commission liaison.
I'd move to appoint Mr. Wilhelm.
Motion has been made to appoint Thomas Duden, excuse me, John Wilhelm for his Township Planning Commission liaison. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint John Wilhelm as Township Planning Commission liaison. Is there any discussion?
So, Gene, you've been on that in the past, right?
Township Planning Commission?
The city plan, this is. city
Well, this is
planning.
Township Planning.
Oh, I missed, oh, here, did I miss something? Which, are we using a certain list from somewhere?
Just on the agenda.
Okay.
I know you had that other worksheet.
Oh, I was looking at the city planning commission.
Is there any discussion?
I'm pulling my second on that one. Nothing against you, John.
There's a second. Second that motion. Is there any more discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of John Wilhelm for Township Planning Commission liaison, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Okay, show of hands, all in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, raise your right hand. And it is 3-2 in favor of John. John is the Township Planning Commission liaison. City of Princeton Planning Commission liaison.
I think that's you.
That's
nominate
me.
Nominate Gene Stokel.
Motion been made, send second. Motion been made and seconded to appoint Gene Stokel, City Princeton Planning Commission liaison.
Can we get clarity on who seconded that?
Well,
Well, we both kind of, I'll second it. John?
John made the motion, Bill seconded. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of Gene Stokel for City Planning Commission liaison, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. And Airport Advisory Board,
I wouldn't mind having that one.
I'll make a motion, John Wilhelm.
I'll second that.
motion been made and seconded to have John Wilhelm as the Airport Advisory Board liaison. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of John for Airport Advisory Board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Fire Advisory Board,
I would move Dan Hiller. I would move to appoint Dan Hiller. Or is there a conflict of interest with?
Fair board doesn't have anything to do with pay, so.
okay. Mr. Hiller has been nominated. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to have Dan Hiller as a Fire Advisory Board liaison. Further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of Dan Hiller for Fire Advisory Board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carried. Road Supervisor,
Nominate Bill Whitcomb.
I'll second that.
Bill Whitcomb has been nominated, or been, motion's been made to appoint Bill Whitcomb as Road Supervisor. Is there any discussion? John.
second.
There's no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of Bill Whitcomb as the road supervisor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Weed inspector,
And nominate Tom Duden.
there's a second to that motion.
I'll second that.
Is that, you gonna make that nomination or a motion?
I
Move the motion.
move the motion to
The
nominate
motion has been
Tom.
made to name Thomas Duden as a weed inspector. And seconded. Is there any discussion?
With that, I'd also like to maybe add roadside maintenance with brushing in that position.
Yeah, I would, well, are we finished with that first motion? Or are you making an amendment?
I would like to make the amendment to it to add roadside brush mowing.
Mowing, brushing, and tree trimming,
Yeah,
all three of them?
yeah.
I would agree to that.
Motion has been made to amend
Okay.
the main motion by adding the brushing.
John's the one that made the motion. He's the one.
seconded.
John didn't make the amendment.
No. No, this is an amendment, it's a separate motion.
Okay.
The motion has been made by Mr. Duden, second by Mr.
Whitcomb.
Mr. Whitcomb to add duties of road brush clearing, tree trimming, and mowing to the weed inspector's job. So the first thing we will do is move to, or act on the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment to add those three duties to the weed inspector? If not, we'll proceed to vote on adding the words to main motion, just the words by adding road maintenance, mowing, trimming, and brush clearing. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the amendment only, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. We will now discuss the motion as amended. The motion as amended says that we will appoint Mr. Duden as the weed inspector, brush clearing, tree trimming, and mowing. Any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Last month, you proposed that I believe you proposed the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I have not done any more research on that. I know there is a yearly cost associated with it too. So at this time, I think we need to discuss that before we appoint a representative.
Okay, we will move on to liquor license renewals. We'll take them all at once or? Oh,
We prepared for that. I've only heard from one of the restaurant. And there's some paperwork that has to go with that along with fees.
what we have done in the past is approve them all at one time. So that when they come in, we've already done a pre-approval. So that, because sometimes they come in 2 days before deadline, or we don't have a township meeting before then. So if we are prepared to,
Well, as long as that's the proper procedure,
so
then
we have
fine.
the list of liquor licenses. So we get them all, bowling alley, shooters, moonshine, alongside bar and grill, old log liquor. Is there any other sign?
Have we had any complaints in the last year?
There are
haven't
five.
been open. It's the only complaint they
Yeah,
have.
I'm not complaining about that. There are five. There-
So I just named those, I believe.
Mr. Chairman,
Well, the bowling alley has a name.
Yeah.
Right?
Princeton Lanes.
Princeton Lane.
The restaurant part is called Taps.
Isn't there
Yeah.
a pizza pub?
That's in town. That's
Princeton Lane holds the license. That's it. And then,
Alongside bar and grill,
and one more.
old log liquor,
Oh, that one. How about, okay.
moonshine and shooters. Do we wish to take these individually or can we do a blanket?
I would move the motion to approve them all as recited, waiving the fees for the restaurant and bar industries. Leaving old log liquor.
I second that.
Motion has been made to approve all liquor license renewals and waive the fee on the 4 restaurants and on sale liquor.
No, we're gonna leave,
What's that?
they're gonna,
To waive it, yeah, to waive the fees.
not for old log liquor.
No.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. So we would be waiving the fees for the 4
Retail.
Restaurants.
restaurants and bars. And Mr. Miller seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to grant liquor licenses to the 5 establishments and waive fees on the 4 restaurants, bars, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Official newspaper for public notices. I think we didn't say with the Union Eagle.
What's the official title of that?
And
That's it though, isn't it?
Union times.
Or
Union times, I'm sorry.
I move a motion to keep Union Times as our official newspaper for public notices.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. That was Mr. Long. To maintain Union Times as our official newspaper, is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. We will have the Union Times as our official newspaper. Official depository. We have stayed with Bremer Bank. I believe that's where our CDs are. The deposits are. I don't think anybody's gonna give us a better rate. Is there a motion to,
Move a motion to have Bremer Bank as our official depository for all township funds.
motion been made? Is there a second to that motion?
I would second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to keep Bremer Bank as the official depository for all the township funds. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Next item of business is
Chair. I'd like to, if we could, go back to the reorg official designations. Over this past year, there just has been confusion, like who would be responsible for, who would Doug call when it comes to county ditches, culverts, zoning issues. I had a list that we had put into the packet, week that we could kind of go through, just so that we have clarity in the office for Doug and for all of us as to who can be the first, who should be the first contact and maybe a backup. I know there are some county ditch issues coming up there soon. And Thomas has, in the past, has been working with snow and ice. So if that list is in front of people, could we maybe, if you would like to, go through this? If it makes sense to everyone. Also, another question that came up was, who signs the road maintenance personnel's timesheet? Who signs the building maintenance? Who signs off, like Doug's reviews, those types of things. I've been working with the road personnel, I'm keeping up on that. We've implemented some new timesheet codes and those types of things for tracking and maps and those types of things. So your pleasure, whatever you'd like to do with this list.
the list we have before us is, we would leave off with would we bundle the pavement, cracks, the filling, chip sealing, gravel and signs?
I could take that on. I could take that on as part of the normal road supervisor responsibilities.
I think first, the top roof we just did.
Yeah.
And we left Chamber of Commerce is not yet.
Correct.
Maybe as a backup, have Scott. I mean,
Yeah.
I've told you, Scott as a backup, I don't know.
For what?
When you get Township Planning Commission, you want a backup to that, or you?
Oh, that maybe shouldn't have been there.
Okay,
Yeah, for that. I'm thinking everything from roads down, we can have a backup.
gotcha.
I don't mind being a backup for the mowing, brushing and tree trimming also. So if Thomas has a question or we want to discuss something, he can talk to me about it. I know Gene, in the past, you said that typically the chair had a lot of those responsibilities, and I think it only fair that we just, take some of that off of your shoulders, if you don't mind.
Okay, who would you like to have for backup on the pavement, cracks, sealing, chip sealing, gravel and signs? I guess
I can split that.
I'll maintain the backup.
Okay,
That's all right.
sounds good.
Unless somebody else wants to. I'm usually pretty well available.
Okay. And I'll be the backup for the mowing, brushing and tree trimming.
Okay,
So who would we like as the first for snow and ice?
Tom followed by you.
Okay, thank you. Do we need to make motions for this, or are we good?
No.
Leave some.
Noxious weeds would be Tom, and John, would you like to do that again?
Yeah, that's fine.
County ditches, I'd prefer not to.
Put my name in, one of them runs on my property, so we're all aware of what's going on.
John, you want to be the backup? Could you?
You probably are involved with some of those too.
Culverts,
You.
I
okay,
would say Bill
all right.
with,
Gene,
sure,
zoning, Dan? You up for zoning? Had questions, kind of like what you had to deal with this property issue.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much they're gonna ask me the question. I'm gonna have to call either him or Scott. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Should we put Scott down as alternate?
Sure.
To be honest with you, what I've been doing on this stuff, I've just been passing their contact information on to Scott instead of it going through me, because then stuff gets mixed up or whatever,
Yeah.
so
Just go right to the source.
You. And road maintenance personnel, I'll keep with that. Thomas, you want to be the second?
Yep.
Building maintenance personnel, Gene, you want to handle the next two, building and office?
sure.
Vice Chair, Thomas, you want to be the backup?
We gotta fill Dan's name in on here some more.
I know.
I'm getting off easy here now.
Wait a second here, we can figure out something. There's 3 other blanks in the bottom here.
About signs.
That's already built.
Well, the backup though. I
Oh,
wouldn't
you said Gene. I got it written right here, buddy.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
That should help down the line. And then we always have the back, if somebody asks a question that we don't feel comfortable answering, or we don't know off the top of our head, we still got Scott,
Mhm.
Todd Geske or Todd McClose as our, or Jason as our professionals to
Right.
to do answering. Okay,
Does everybody still have an updated cell phone on the website? Did anybody change your cell phone or phone number in the last year?
I would like to make a statement that my cell phone is crap. I got a different one, and I got a message yesterday, it showed up, and it was from February 18th or something. So if you wish to, first item is call my home phone.
Do you have that listed on the website?
It should be, I believe.
I'll check it.
And because if I'm not home or I'm not answering, leave a message, I'll get back to you. But I've had so many times where lately I had one from the day before election day and one from sometime in February that just showed up today.
The other thing you have to do is give us some really cute selfies so we can put up there for your pictures.
On the website.
There is
Come
no,
on, guys.
there is no
We
cute.
don't want to
selfie.
line you up against the wall. We don't want to have to line you up against the wall and shoot you.
There are no cute selfies.
Just schedule, I'll come out and take some nice photos.
All right, moving on. We now discuss approving minutes of the February 16th meeting. Any additions, corrections? Entertain a motion to accept. If there are none, if there are none.
Move the motion to accept.
Motion has been made to accept the minutes of the February 16th monthly meeting. There's a second.
I second that.
Mr. Wickham seconded the motion. Any discussion?
Correct term, recuse or abstain? I was not at that. meeting.
Pardon me?
Recuse or abstain? I was not at that meeting. What do you want me to say?
Oh, yeah. Recuse. Okay.
Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the February 16th monthly meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
I recuse.
And one recuse. Motion is carried. We will accept the minutes of the February 16th meeting. Open forum.
Well,
I was hoping once you, but I knew it.
No,
I guess, so we had talked to, both Scott,
Name, please.
Ramey Harold, Rayme. Oh, you don't need it? Okay.
You can
Um,
find out first.
So we're looking at developing some commercial property just north of town here, off of 160, actually adjoining Dan's property over there. And so I had some discussion with Scott as well as with Todd on exactly what we're looking for drawings as far as engineered surveying and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how technical we want to get here, or if we want to trust the excavators and the paving companies and that, as long as kind of our plan is to match his elevations. And so it kind of looks uniform and try and tie that all together. So I guess really that's the question. We've been dealing with Bogart Peterson as far as the surveying goes, and he told me to come in here and talk to you guys first. Actually, Todd was the one who told me that I should come in here and talk to you guys first before we get too carried away with engineered drawings and drainage plans and all kinds of other stuff. So before we get into a permitting process, I just wanted to kind of make sure that I'm steering us in the right direction without overdoing it with undue expense and so forth.
Okay. You're close to ones in proximity to 169
Correct.
on the east side of the road.
Correct.
And how far east are you going?
Well, I kind of have it to scale picture here if you want to take a look at what I got going on. Or I can email it or whatever. But there's basically people. It's just gonna be a little 30 by 60, basically a pole barn structure with offices in the front, 3 overhead doors in the back for future service bays or detail bays, what have you. And then just a paved parking lot for used car sales.
It's a used car.
Correct.
You have a business plan.
I do.
You've met with the bank.
I mean, we're working on all that, but I want to make sure we get permitting and that you guys will approve the use of the property and so forth before. And if we park in front of the horse, you know.
Yeah. Todd, you're on the call or on the meeting?
I'm here.
So any direction you've given him so far is just to come to the board at this point?
Well, I guess, my recommendation for Ramey was to at least have some kind of a sketch plan to show you guys so that, you know, if he doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money and your first thoughts are it's not going to fly. So I guess from here on, it would be just prepare the sketch plan and the stuff and go through the planning commission and so forth.
Have you talked to
Thank you.
our inspector, your posts are 8 foot on center, how far your truss is gonna be apart? One's supposed to have to be 6 foot on center for commercial building.
That I don't know. That would be between the builder and this is just a rough. So what I did with this is just like a little Menards drawing. It's not an actual. Then I've got a contractors. You're looking at Premier Construction. I'm sure you'll know all the building and what they need to know.
Where is the property located at? What?
So if you look at this
That's what I was just trying.
right here, the south property line, that's right down the middle of the driveway of Old Log Liquor.
Okay.
So here's 169 and here's that easement.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair,
It would be a 5 acre parcel.
Mr. Chair, this is Scott Richards. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Just wanted to let you know that used car sales or any car sales within the commercial industrial district is a conditional use. So he will have to submit a site plan and application and other information. Have to go to a public hearing to the planning commission and then a review by the town board. So there are some basic requirements in the commercial industrial district and the conditional use permit section. And I can forward those to Ramey tomorrow. If Ramey wants to leave his contact information with Doug, I got a phone call from him, but if we have some more information like an email and so forth, I can forward that over.
Which is kind of.
And I wanted Ramey to also have a conversation with Todd and Todd to give some guidance. If portions of this can be paved, we should have some sort of basic drainage plan and other items. So we can meet with Ramey and discuss that.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep, there you go. That's
So for the board members, hold it up on the map here, behind you on the screen or in front of you on your screen. Go to the south, there is Old Blue here. And you'll see 100th Avenue is on the east side there. So I'm guessing you're right. I don't think you see the mouse, but anyways. Just this open field, right?
It's the highway frontage.
Right, but it's basically right in the center of the screen right now. Well, there's my.
Yeah, wherever that parcel drawing went, that shows, that's been the approved split right there. Jason Metzler's one that purchasing from.
There's the mouse. Is that about the spot?
Where the actual structural goes south?
Well, I'm just, the property, basically.
Yeah, roughly.
In my opinion, you've already got to turn off for the 169. That would be my biggest concern.
Mhm.
It's undeveloped land, realistically. It's just, there's a bunch of trees right now. I mean, you're in the commercial district zoned.
Is it, is this, will be a shared driveway with Old Log Liquor then?
My understanding is that that's to be a future road, but yeah, yep.
So you don't need to get an easement from Old Log Liquor or anything?
No, the way the survey is, that property line is pretty much right down the middle of that driveway.
Okay. And you would not go any further back than the loop behind the log liquor, right?
No.
So you, if anything, you'd barely touch that field.
Yeah, where that mouse is right now is pretty much the about as far east as it goes. Yeah, it's kind of pie shaped.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the biggest reason why I'm here is because, like they say, I'm gonna need the conditional use permit, and they keep telling me to submit a site plan, and I ask what they need for a site plan, and I get I need a basic drainage and a site plan. Well, before I go and spend $8,000 on a surveying company to find out that that's not what I needed. I mean, can I just put together a plan like this and have the asphalt company say, hey, the water's gonna utilize the 2 existing ditches and we shouldn't have any ditches, and that's go start moving dirt, or how carried away do we want to get? I guess is what I'm trying to.
I would say that you should, have you contacted Todd yesterday?
I don't want to.
With I would believe that you would want to get them involved also, because they'd be doing the actual building inspection. And we get a card for you.
Okay, you got a card, okay.
I don't know, to me, I know where you're coming from, trying to get the ball rolling. I mean, to me, it looks like you meet all those, it really, a 5-minute overview, it looks like you meet all the requirements. That's just me giving it yeah, it looks like it, but I would say you're good to proceed to the planning commission and then, go through everything. That's my opinion. It's not, here's a rubber stamp, yep, it's gonna pass.
Right, but so what I have now, I think is enough to start early planning stages with the commission.
I would think you're in the commercial district, you've got the 169. That's my biggest concern is at 169. That, just with the traffic on there. And I know where you're coming from with, how much traffic you're getting.
Right.
Mr. Chair, members of the town board, again, Scott Richards. So we're going to need something more than a sketch for a conditional use permit. I mean, I think the gentleman is asking for more detail of what he needs to submit, and I can provide him tomorrow an email with the conditional use permit form and the section, so he has an idea of what's required. And then I think he should be in contact with Todd McLeod as to what Todd is going to need for drainage details. So again, the 3 of us can work together, determine what level of detail, but it's going to take more than just a sketch plan. We need something to scale that shows setbacks and where things are being paved and so forth.
Okay.
Thank you.
But Rooney, again, if you can leave your contact information with Doug, I have not seen any site plans or anything yet since we just talked.
Nope, I'll get your contact information from these guys, and I'll send you over what I've got put together so far.
Sounds good.
3 of us can maybe get together on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, though, for the forum.
I guess I'll go. Hello, Dan Patnode here. I own the property owned by Liquor. And I've submitted a building permit and a conditional use permit for a storage building behind the liquor store. And I had a conversation with both Scott and Todd, and then they informed me that the township planned on putting a road through that access to 100. And in that type of planning, what was communicated to me is that my 35-foot side yard setback turns into a front yard setback, which turns it into a 70-foot setback, which is now taken away from buildable area behind my building. And that's ultimately my major issue, is changing a setback after it's been already determined. And so they said the next step is to come talk to the board. And I guess I have a significant issue with that.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, Todd McCroft and I talked, and again, he's going to be expanding upon the commercial aspect of that. And the asphalt roadway that was constructed for the liquor store only goes so far. So Todd and I have discussed the need to extend that asphalt, that township road further to the east. Again, that's to be determined how far east that has to go with some sort of turnaround. But again, for access for any type of commercial development, it's our recommendation to the town board that asphalt roadway be extended.
Bill, tell him he's got to come over here about every third word.
What was that last sentence, Scott?
That it's our recommendation that the township asphalt road be extended, to a distance to be determined to provide access to that, to those mini storage buildings that he's proposing.
So did he say passive?
Asphalt. I'm getting a little feedback here, so
Yeah.
it's a little closer to the computer.
Well, no part of,
Unfortunately, tonight, we've had a conflict since our typical meeting is the third Thursday of the month. Because of our annual meeting first, they had conflicts for tonight's meeting. We would typically. So,
That's okay. One of the main reasons I came though is because I don't, they had suggested waiting, but I really don't want to wait another month with the weather the way it is. I'd like to get going as soon as I possibly can. And ultimately, I mean, if the township is going to make me put a township road in, then the conversation ends. I don't necessarily see the validity in requiring me to put a road in for one building. Now, I do want to put a second one. I'd really like to put a second one in, but I don't know what that looks like yet with the rear setback and making sure to shoehorn a building in. I would like to do a second one, but I wanted to start with one. And I'd like to, do some further things, but.
Can you do anything to the south of your existing building?
Well, that's what Scott said. And you know what? I think there's a possibility, but I mean, again, then my inkling would be that now I have to put a road into the south, which now just extends further road requirements. The other thing is, I'd really like to keep it looking nice. Right now, I can essentially shield any, I can put this building behind that isn't necessarily up in everybody's face on the highway, which I think is a good thing. So, if forced to do, or if if there's an opportunity to do something to the south, I would absolutely consider that and look at doing something to the south, maybe in a different phase. But ultimately, I mean, I think the big thing here is that, you know, when I built that liquor store, that proposed, you know, and I'm not exactly sure if there was confusion, but that proposed easement, that easement was put in to access the property to the north because the guy to the north did not want to sell the property to the south and not have access because it was the only access off the highway. My recollection, and I was one of the only people there, and 13 years ago when it was done, was it was not necessarily a proposed township road. It was to make sure that that property to the north could get developed in the future and not give up access. And that's why they did the driveway right on the property line. That's the reason they did it. So now I come and it's, well, not only that, but we're gonna have you put a road in and then we're gonna take 35 feet of buildable area from you.
I don't have any memory of the planned roads.
And if anybody walked out there, nobody wants to put a road in there. I mean, on the east side of that property, it's low.
I'm confused about that because I know the access.
Yeah.
The MnDOT.
And I fought tooth and nail for that
Was
thing.
only going to allow one access.
Exactly.
But I don't never remember any discussion on there being a road
No.
going through to 100.
And that's where we always have problems. Like you said, there's a low spot right there.
Yeah.
That's where we always have frost boils. Because
Yeah.
it's so low in there.
So-
I mean, I'm trying to think back 13 years ago. And see if I can go on here too. There, supposedly there's a proposed road going through to north of Alberta. And I don't ever remember that being a proposal at all.
It was complete property protection, and it was agreed upon by me because otherwise it wouldn't have worked. But it was also the smart thing to do because ultimately I need to keep that highway access. So that's the main goal with that thing, and that's why it would kill anything else that was ever talked about in here. If that road were to go all the way through there, I could see MnDOT coming in and saying, shut that access down. You have access off the other side. And it might as well shut the doors.
So,
Mr. Chair, the intent here is just to provide access to the rear of that or to the east of that property for that additional commercial aspect. I don't think, and Todd McCall, correct me if I'm wrong, we're not talking about right now pushing that roadway all the way through to 100. But again, we're just providing, and again, there's 33 feet of easement on the south and north of that property line with the intent that at least in this section is a township road.
I see what you're saying 100% there, and that would be foolish to put a road there because MnDOT definitely would come in. They're trying to get rid of all the assets.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we pinch you and they pinch.
Exactly. You kill that whole area.
Did he purchase the whole property, the dash 200?
It's that they're surveying off. Easy to
Oh, he
find.
did.
It's gonna be this 5 acres right here.
Oh, 5, okay.
It was 5 acres.
just that parcel B up, correct?
So if you might get the access.
I guess I'm really lost where the proposal to build a road was.
I was just informed about it on Monday. So I'm just as surprised as you.
And their Old Logs access is not a township road, right?
No.
That's strictly.
And lucky for these guys, I paid for a turn lane.
I don't know if I can answer anything tonight because I was kind of new to the board when you got the permit. I remember I made the motion to allow you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been good and I've been in the township with the exception of 2 years of my life, so. But it was, and I guess my biggest thing is taking the setback and changing the setback on the survey on an approved property. piece of property,
That's already established.
it's already established. And honestly, if the road, and I talked to Scott and Todd about this, if the road was actually put in there, that building that I already have up would be encroaching on the setback.
Well, if there's no plans for the road to get put in, if you put your building up now, if they put in a road 5 years down the road, the township's not gonna make you tear it down.
Right. But what's happening, and this is where part of it comes in is I'd like to do, I'd want to do one building, I'd like to do a second one, and I don't know, I'd like to continue to go from there, but I want to use as much buildable area because I have septic that's all the way to the south in the southwest corner there. So I have to have enough room there to make this work, and all there was so much drainage, excavation done at the original site. There was a lot done. So that's one of the reasons why I wasn't in my, building permit and conditional use permit. I wasn't gonna put asphalt in because I don't really want to deal with that at this point. Rather just keep it, permeable, but.
One of the laws of property owners is if we create a situation that takes away some of your rights after you already own it, you can basically bypass it and grandfather. So, I don't know if I can say that for the law or anything, but I believe that because you own it, because your plan is already in place and there's not a road plan, that I'm gonna say that you probably have a pretty good stand for not having to put, you can put side set, but not, you don't have to put front set.
And ultimately, I just, I don't want to get stonewalled at a conditional use permit. And I'd like, honestly, I'd like to do a conditional use permit to be able to do another building and I'd like to continue to do things out there, but in that area, and I've already talked to the stuff to the north, so I mean, I'd like to.
Anybody that knows that area knows that it's not worth a whole lot for agricultural or anything else. It's
Right.
It's just be a pasture. I think in the interest of moving on, I think we probably should try to set up a staffing meeting with getting Todd McLuhan, Scott Richards, and all sit in on it, and we'll set up a meeting within the next week or two.
Okay, I appreciate that.
That's the best I can say.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I think it's a stand-up thing to remove the fees for the bars and restaurants too. So
Thank you.
that was good.
Yeah, we did last year too.
Did you? I didn't see that.
Oh.
But
Well,
no, good.
Olog didn't.
I know we have big.
Because they've been allowed to stay open, but the rest of them.
No, absolutely. It wouldn't have been the right thing. So nice job with that.
But all we can do, we've tried every other aspect. And
Yeah, no,
Everybody else
it's
keeps
the
shutting
right
down.
thing to do.
Anybody else with an open forum? Is there any other open forum? I didn't see any. Scott, you're green light. If there is no other open forum, we'll close open forum and move on to clerk treasurer report. Mr. Dahl?
Thanks for your time, guys.
Yeah, thank you. You got that card?
Yep, I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Danny, tell your old man I said aye.
I will, absolutely. Take it easy, John.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, the cash control for February, our general fund beginning balance was $165,004.45. Receipts attributed there are $12,078.30. $17,878.25 dispersed, leaving an ending balance of $159,204.50. Then road and bridge, beginning balance $140,286.81. Receipts $31,577.34 from the county. And then disbursements of $9,799.38, leaving an ending balance of $162.64.77.
And the general fund does not include the 108,000,
Right, yeah, it does not include that CD.
so 300.
Actually, it's, yeah, this is that includes 2 of the 3 accounts.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
So, yeah, I did have one question with the road. That 31, was that 31,000 for the road? Was that from the gas? That was the normal.
Yeah, that's the usual gas tax allocation. Not that whole amount, there are minor amounts that were allocated from other, but most of it was that gas tax.
Go through all of them and then approve them all at once.
Can you get a motion to approve the cash control?
I'll accept the motion to approve the cash control statements. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion been made by Mr. Hiller, second by Mr. Wilhelm. Is there any discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the cash control statement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried.
Okay, and then you'll distribute that with the signatures, right?
Yes,
Everything else goes back to you.
yes,
All right.
so
Very good. Then you have the payroll distribution. Total payroll for the month of February was $4,095. And then there's a second payroll, and that is for the election. And that was $1,010. So there are two payroll distributions to review.
entertain a motion to accept the January payroll.
So moved.
Motion made, second. I'll second. Any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say, approving January payroll, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Claims for approval, you have 3 instead of 2.
That just like clarification on that motion, that was February's, not January.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
The second payroll is the election payroll.
Right, I think we approved.
Just February. It's a separate payroll, so it should have a separate.
You want to approve the second one? Any motion's been made, or else, is there a motion? Approve the election payroll?
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made by Mr. Hiller, second by Mr. Wilhelm. Any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the election payroll, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Claims for approval, and there are 3 instead of 2, right?
Yeah, there are 3 of them. And I had there's the standard one, the regular claims. And that amount is Is the right one here. Sorry, I'm digging through my papers here. I'm not seeing it. Do you have that?
Yeah, I'll just here, I'll let you look down.
I'll say. By way of explanation, you have the regular claims. Find it here. Too much paper. Okay, that one, regular claims was $29,154.13. Then there was a second one, which was consisted of expenses related to the election and the town meeting primarily, plus a bill from East Central Energy that had to be paid because it came in late and was due before the end of February. So we paid that, and then the others were paid by debit card. So since those went on to the February bank statement, I made them a separate approval so that you could get specifically look at those items. The third item needs to be acted on, and that is the refund of the escrow to Tanya Lundberg or Lundberg Properties, and the refund of the cash in lieu of the letter of credit for TMK Properties. And I included the letter from Todd McCloud stipulating the amount for that of $9,703. And then I also included the receipts and disbursements from the Lundberg escrow fund, which left a balance of $3,325. So you want to proceed, if you want to proceed on those all at once or individually. I just want to make sure that there's a clear record on the refund of the escrow and the cash letter of credit.
I believe as long as we enumerate them, we can make that a single motion for the claim for approval and return of Lundberg escrow and return of TMK Properties escrow as one motion, as long as we make that clear that it's covering all three. Is there a motion to that effect?
I move that motion.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the claims for approval, the return of Lundberg escrow and the return of TMK Properties escrow. Should work, should be clear enough. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve claims for approval, return of Lundberg escrow, return of TMK Properties escrow, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Progress report on 2020 audit.
Okay, I have the report from Schlenner Winter Company for our outside audit. And it came in on Thursday, so it would require some review. However, I learned something in the process of asking questions about this. I had a question about the Board of Audit that I raised with the attorney at the Minnesota Association of Townships. And I learned that the Board of Audit is a separate matter from the external audit. And it appears that the practice for the township from time immemorial has been to assemble as the Board of Audit and approve the audit from the outside auditor. But Mr. Kaminsky made it absolutely clear to me that that's not the proper procedure. So it's apparent that it was just inherited from board to board. Somebody started it. But I went back through the minutes all the way back to 2003, covering the 2002 Board of Audit, and they were all the same. But the main point is that the two have to be separate. So I've been in contact also with Lucinda Messman, one of the trainers from Matt. And I'm arranging to get time with her to make sure I understand the process, because the Board of Audit is to review the expenditures, receipts and expenditures from the previous year, independent of any external audit. And there's a set of a checklist to go through on that. And what I'm recommending, the path we take that I'm recommending is that we make sure we get it right this year. And then next year, we make sure we get it right and on time. I mean, obviously we can't do it on time this year, but that Board of Audit is the one that's supposed to be done before the annual meeting.
And it has nothing to do with.
It has nothing to do with the external audit, which is a little bit of a shock. But I mean, it's understandable. So this is a process of starting immediately after the first of the year. It's something that we would have control of here. We'd be able to assemble all the documents, get everything. It wouldn't be dependent on shifting things back and forth to an external auditor. That would still go on, but then you have that process. And then the Board of Audit meets about that internal audit. That's the topic of the Board of Audit. And at the same time, you could also approve the external audit if it were ready, but in all likelihood, it wouldn't be, just because of the complexity of that versus being able to work on it consistently from inside. So that's where we stand on the audit. And my recommendation for how to proceed.
Do we have a time frame as to when we'd like
Yeah,
to finish it?
I'm expecting to be able to have that by the April regular meeting on the 20th. That's my goal, to have it by then.
So we would conduct the Board of Audit at the next April meeting?
Yes, the Board of Audit doesn't have to be a special meeting. It can be on the agenda at a regular meeting. It just has to be, noted in the minutes that it was switched from the regular meeting to the Board of Audit. The Board of Audit was convened and then conducted its business at, as part of that meeting. It can be a special meeting. It doesn't have to be.
As going forward this year only, we'll probably be able to do the Board of Audit and approve the external audit at the same time.
Yeah, the external,
wouldn't
I mean,
be
it's
until-
here. It requires, I'm not sure. I guess we'd have to distribute it to everyone and have them look at it. The recommendations were fairly minor in there. One that will come up here, I guess it's somewhere on our agenda, about an EFT policy, which I also distributed. But yeah, so we're at the end point of the external audit and the beginning point of the internal audit.
And just for point of information, Mr. Dahl was complimented on his fine work with from Slender and Leonard in that final audit. So I want that to be made.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to zoning administrator. Mr. Richards, you're on.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And let me know if I cut out or if you have any issues hearing me. We've got a application from James and Sarah Rutten for a conditional use permit. It's to allow another one of the event venues at 6360 60th Avenue. Applicants indicated they're requesting a permit to provide a pumpkin patch, petting zoo, and farm experience, especially for those people who want to learn about organic farming and homesteading. Property is about 16 acres where the homestead is at, and then there's an additional 85 acres that is accessed from 60th Street. Property is zoned AC Ag Conservation. The Planning Commission at their March 1st meeting recommended the application with conditions, and those are listed within a resolution that I provided for you. Again, it's similar to other requests that we've had for these types of operations. I won't go into any great detail. Sarah Rutten is also here representing as being one of the operators of this venue. Again, going through the criteria in the report, do not see any major issues. There was some discussion at the Planning Commission with mainly about how much outside of the season. Now, most of these, like this one, will operate mainly in probably late September, October time period. But Sarah is looking at some special events to bring in school children and so forth. So there may be something ongoing even beyond the fall time period. But I believe that the Planning Commission was satisfied with her answer on that, and maybe she can provide some more details. But we're recommending approval. There's a list of conditions within the planning report and within the draft resolution for your review tonight. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Richard, this is Bill Whitcomb. So I received the letter that was sent out by Carol Whitcomb, just with some concerns, just in general with farming practices, and I think we all read that. But one of the things that she brought up was just any, noises or those types of things. A lot of times farmers have to, do some of their work later into the evening. And I just noticed, so that was one of the things I was particularly paying attention to while I was reading through this. And the only thing that really stood out to me was number 12 on page 9. It says, if the event venue creates noise issues for surrounding properties, the Board of Supervisors may revisit the conditional use. I'm just wondering, would it be a good idea to say if the event venue creates non-farming noise issues? Because like I say, there may be noises that are created just from running a farm, and we don't want people calling out there for, just regular farming practices.
Yeah, I think that, Mr. Whitcomb, that's, I think, an appropriate amendment to that condition. So non-farming noise control measures.
So I would say if the event venue creates non-farming noise issues. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Todd McLeod. I have a question. Scott, who's going to prepare the legal description and exhibit for that road easement?
We need to discuss that further. We had some discussions already, Todd, and I've had that discussion with Doug. It's my impression that if the township wants that roadway easement, I think our engineer should prepare it. I don't think that's a burden that should be, or an expense that the person who's doing the event or asking for the conditional use permit. I would think those would be pretty straightforward legal descriptions, and I guess that would be my recommendation.
I believe on the resolution, I believe that this legal description, and I think it's pretty thorough.
Yeah, I do. If you note, Mr. Chair, number 6 says the township shall require the applicant to dedicate 33 feet of right of way from 60th Street to the north property line on 55th Avenue. But I think Todd is asking who should prepare it. And it's my recommendation, and maybe the town board should discuss that, because we have a few others of these that we're working on that our engineer, our township engineer, allows us to prepare these. Do you have any issues with that, Todd?
No, that's fine with me.
Okay.
You have resolution number 7, which should be, I don't know that would be the correct
Would it be the file?
Yeah, I think I did that.
What's the resolution number?
And it should be 2021 dash. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think I had 2 sevens.
I was thinking of the file number there for a second. Because
Oh. But yeah, but on page, after page 12 or whatever. After page 10, there's a resolution that says resolution number 7. That should be 2021 dash.
not even seen that.
On the next, yeah, the page is-
Right here. Right. My neck and back are hurting, but as far as,
Yeah, I can't.
no, I'm, I have been going for a few months now. I don't do it alone often. Just don't get too winded halfway through.
No. I don't think it keeps improving, right?
It is 7.
So it'd be 2021 dash 7.
Correct.
Dash seven.
Okay, so the appropriate action would be to basically approve resolution 2021 dash 7 with the 18 stipulations.
I move the motion to pass resolution 2021-7.
Motion been made to approve 2021 dash 7 resolution. Is there a second?
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Pertaining,
So we will, Scott will be adding that text to that,
the 2 words.
2 words.
Non-farming.
thank you.
Okay. I guess we'd understand that motion. But that would be on page 9, number 12. And as addressing what Carol Wickham, her letter, just because I guess because it's been done in the past where there's been or extra people coming to it, it's always been kind of expected that township know what's going on beyond farming activity, beyond normal farming. So I don't know if that's justifiable or not. I know we had the same thing when Tom Student got his permit, his IUP. Is it really necessary for us to have IUPs? Maybe because they're non-traditional farming activity. We maybe want to continue. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, because this resolution we require more of us, will make a roll call. Mr. Hiller.
Aye.
Mr. Sokol is aye. Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
And Mr. Wickham.
Aye.
Motion carries by a 4-0 vote. Thank you. So we have passed resolution 2021-7.
Mr. Chair, the second item of my report is from Northern Natural Gas, an exception or exemption to the conditional use permit. The Northern Natural Gas is looking at upgrades to its Princeton #1 town border station, existing facilities on 82nd Avenue within Section 21. Plans include replacement of a number of their pipeline heaters, high pressure meters, relief valve, existing fence, and existing building. There'd also be a lot expansion of 10 by or 100 by 20 feet that would be required. And that's been agreed to by that adjacent property. We'll make sure that the exemption certificate is filed for that to combine those lots. Property is zoned R1, really no issues with that. They're requesting this exemption. It does require a conditional use permit, but in order to keep Northern Natural Gas on a schedule so they can start in May, because they plan for construction at that time, and the potential delay of public hearing and consideration would require. We see no issues with this. Again, the facility is already there. It just some improvements and a new building. And I've had Jason Hill, our township attorney, provide a resolution. I guess that would be 2021-8, allowing for the exemption and then providing conditions to it. So that was within your packet for Mr. Hill.
We actually have, it's 2021-9.
Oh, it's at 9. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
why don't you go ahead and make it number 8 in the chronology?
Okay.
I'll change it.
right, because 8 is, we could not act on tonight.
That's possible, yes.
So if you want to change that 2021-9 to 2021-8, is there any discussion?
Didn't we talk about this a few months ago? Weren't we concerned about them coming in and out onto the road with their equipment and whatnot here in the spring?
I believe that's why.
Can we make a stipulation that the road, I mean, we have to wait for all this frost and this wet to get out and be done with before they destroy that road? They come in there early.
Mr. McLewis, could you answer that?
I don't know if you can hear what I said.
Can you repeat that, please? Sorry.
Well, the concern is them starting on this project, well, the roads are still wet and out of condition, and them possibly ruining the roads. Should we add a stipulation that the roads have to be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Maintained or returned to their normal state after they're done with the construction?
Yes, that's a good idea. They still have to follow the road restrictions that are posted until the road restrictions go off. So there are those restrictions, but yeah, it sure wouldn't hurt to have a statement in there about they tear it up, even the boulevard or the shoulders of the ditch or whatever, that they got to restore what they disturbed.
Is that something Scott Richards can add?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the town board, I'll work with Jason with some language so we can add that.
I appreciate it.
So if we pass it now, you can still put the stipulation that we will require them to make sure that the road is in new condition when their resident or upgrades are done.
Yes, what I'd recommend is whoever makes the motion includes a fourth condition to that extent, that all surfaces, shoulder, ditch, the roadway be brought back to original condition after construction. So just add that as a condition, we'll add that into before it's signed.
Okay, we have before you resolution 2021-8, and we would like to add fourth stipulation that all services returned to original condition. All road services, that would be. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded that to pass resolution 2021-8. Do with the addition of all road surfaces returned to original condition. Any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. No, I'll do a roll call again. Mr. Hiller.
Aye.
Mr. Social is aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion carried by a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Next item is still.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item is the Keppel addition, a preliminary plat. David Keppel has made application for a preliminary plat located north of Highway 95 in Section 26 at 2601 65th Avenue. Proposed subdivision consists of 3 lots on 35.54 acres. He's also requested an administrative subdivision on 6 acres on a portion of the property that's not subject to the preliminary plat. The 2019 zoning map indicated the property zoning as rural residential. With sending out the public hearing notices, some of the neighbors said, just wait a moment, we think that some of that property was rezoned. So Doug, the township clerk, researched the rezonings in the area and found that the property had been rezoned from rural residential to ACA conservation in November 2015. So the 2015 rezoning occurred, but it's a little unclear if the 2015 zoning map that was updated reflected all that, and then the 2019, we do see some errors in that. So in talking to Jason Hill about this, a couple things he's recommended is that number one, we should pass a resolution, and he's provided for one that's in your packet that corrects the 2021 zoning map. So you have that in front of you, the corrected map reflecting that action taken in 2015. Unfortunately, that doesn't solve the issues for Mr. Keppel in that he's adjacent both to the east and to the north with rural residential, but he's still zoned AC. So our suggestion there is, number one, you approve the resolution approving the corrected 2021 zoning map, and then request and we want to keep Mr. Keppel and his process moving, that the Planning Commission considered holding a public hearing at a special meeting directly before the town board meeting on April 20th to rezone his property. Again, it wouldn't be a spot zone. He'd be adjacent to other rural residential. So we'd rezone him back from AC to rural residential. And there's another little piece in there also, and the property owner I'll talk to about rezoning. So that is our suggestion, again, to keep this moving, to have the Planning Commission take a look at a preliminary plat contingent upon that rezoning, and keep Mr. Keppel moving in the process. Again, it's kind of a complicated deal. There's a lot of history with the zoning maps and certain parcels and what was zoned and what was rezoned. I think what we have in the updated 2021 map is correct. Todd McCough and I have both looked at it. Jason Hill has looked at it. I think we're good, but it's still going to require some rezoning to accommodate Mr. Keppel. Any questions?
So if I understand right, we cannot really do anything tonight. Resolution 2021-8, or would now be 9, can't be acted on tonight because it would have to go through the Planning Commission. And
No, actually, according to Mr. Hill, you can, the town board can provide this resolution tonight correcting the zoning map. So you can take that action. So, and then as a second action, I would direct the Planning Commission or staff to have the Planning Commission hold a special meeting on the 20th prior to your meeting in order to proceed with a preliminary plat and the rezoning of that property.
So the motion is actually listed on page 3 of the first page that we looked at, or the first little packet.
Yeah, I've got on my page 3 of my
the motion. Yeah. So I would make the motion to the town board to approve the resolution approving the corrected 2020 zoning map as well as
Yeah.
2021 zoning map,
Getting back to this.
as well as request the planning commission hold a public hearing at the special April 20th, 2021 meeting to consider the rezoning of properties in section 26. That's my motion.
And I will second that.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution of the corrected zoning map and request planning commission hold a public hearing at a special April 20th meeting, which would be held just prior to the town board meeting, to consider rezoning of properties in section 26. Is that,
Yes.
that's it? Okay, I was looking at the result. So we would be looking at approving resolution 2021-9 and request planning commission hold a public hearing. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the resolution? So we'll go roll call. Mr. Hiller,
I,
Mr. Stokel, aye. Mr. Wilhelm, Mr. Whitcomb. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the town board. One last thing that I have for you tonight is just an update. The planning commission established a subcommittee to research the history of residential development and how certain properties, especially in the R1 area, were allowed to develop with roughly 1 acre or less lot sizes. The subcommittee members met and had the fun task of going through some of the old files. Not a lot was found, but it was realized that resolutions approving the Preserve at Princeton and the Balsam Ridge subdivisions were found, and they showed the use of density bonuses through a planned unit development. So for a time period between 2001, 2005, this township allowed developments by planned unit development. And then in 2005, they took that away. They realized that there wasn't resulting in the type of lot sizes I think that they really wanted. So it's just an update for you to say that the Planning Commission has found this and to relay that information to you. The Planning Commission wanted to make sure that the town board was aware of it. And it does help us as we continue to look at section 27 and 34 and understand what transpired there and why there were smaller lots and so forth. And again, I believe that Scott Mueller may at some time reappear and be looking for us to consider again a comprehensive plan and zoning amendments. But at least we found some of the history related to why that has happened. So there's no action required in this. I just wanted, and the Planning Commission wanted to bring you up to date on that. Any questions?
Thank you.
None here.
Anything else? Mr. Richards?
Well, that should do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is the proposed budget. I just suggested that to kind of get us going in the right direction, kind of get our thought process going, that we would take on a role of or each of you get a copy of the proposed budget. There's a 4-page and an 8-page. I think we would like to propose calling a special meeting for April 6th, where we would do nothing but budget. And do it line by line and get it. So we have the whole town board, so it can be presented to anybody in the township that needs to review the budget. They can have it shortly after the April 6th. So I guess just so we send this home, you get a little homework and was it?
This different than what you call
It should have come in your packet.
one. Here's the receipt.
I didn't see one either.
Yeah, I didn't get. Okay, I'll get you.
I need more.
You take-
Oh, yeah, that's, it's all part of it. See this there?
Yep, this is all I had.
No, that's totally different.
We were disbursements and receipts.
No, those are nothing to do with the.
Yeah, then I need one too.
Yeah, I didn't have a proposed budget.
I have a copy. You have a copy.
Then we got it again.
Maybe I don't know if you gotta do the vote. I got that. Yes, and I got that, but that's all I got. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I didn't get- I need that.
Nope.
Is that in the original packet?
I thought we did, but maybe I don't think I stole everybody's. All right, while she's making that, we'll move on to,
So we have to get this correct as to what this next meeting is gonna be, right? Because it's gotta,
you already
whatever it
posted
is.
it, right?
Pardon me?
You already posted it.
Yeah, it's the roads, road budget and road maintenance, road plans. The meeting is about roads.
Oh, about roads, not budget, okay.
But
Well, it's.
it'll include the road
Budget.
budget.
That's part of it.
Yeah,
Since we
Okay.
said that we would have till the end of May, or the end of May, we figured we have the April meeting, the regular meeting on the 20th, and the May meeting of the 18th to continue to discuss other budget issues too, right? I figured, I thought we had talked about the one on the 6th was specifically, we talked about all the stuff that Todd McCall had brought up in the past and just basically road expenditures. And that's what was posted, so.
Okay, so we will just entertain a motion, or we don't even have a motion to set a special meeting. We'll have to set a special meeting for April 6th. Moving on to, we'll move on to old business, decision on action to take on Princeton Road.
So I don't really have anything on, I mean, we discussed that last month's meeting. So Todd?
Yeah.
So basically, the three things we discussed and was the widening of the 24 feet. The other one is just okay, let me see. I've got a couple motions proposed here. So one is to accept the quote presented in February 16th for the culvert, deciding whether we want to do that. Another motion could be to overlay only the existing paved areas. And then the third option that we discussed at the last meeting was to overlay the existing paved areas and include widening for a full 24 feet. So really, those are the three options. And I think we have until, when is the 60 days up for April, that quote?
It was February 11th, so April 11th.
So we have to make the decision at this meeting.
Well,
What was the proposed budget for this? Was 60,000? And what's the projected cost?
If we only do the existing paved portion and only do a half-inch leveling with a 2-inch overlay, it's right about the $60,000 mark.
But is that culvert
That
collapsed completely?
the
Like it's
culvert
not
is
working?
not part of that 60,000.
Right.
The culvert was another 35,000. And at the last meeting, I thought maybe it could go, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to let that go. I went out and looked at it, Todd. It's pulling in quite a bit of material there, right? Probably 4 feet from the edge of pavement. So
Because if we do something, I think it's a mistake not fixing the culvert. I really do.
I'm leaning more towards, I know at the last meeting I said that it could wait, but I'm leaning towards doing the culvert and only overlaying
Which brings
the
my next,
existing.
which brings my next question. Since we had 60,000 budgeted for this project, where's the 35,000 coming? Where are we robbing Peter to pay Paul?
Well, our road budget is, where we're
Well, right now with we're about at 260,000.
Okay, and then the other question is, where's 50th Street lining up with?
Oh, that's the next, that's the 2022 project. Not 21.
We still don't know what the.
We'll get that a little bit, but it's,
I just,
read
you
the letter.
get what I'm saying, it'd be nice to see where we're sitting as far as that project, that's a big project
Well,
coming down the road.
okay, we'll get on to this, we'll go on to, we'll talk about that one. So I received an email from Mark Breezy, who manages the LRIP program. He says, dear LRIP applicant, we received an unprecedented level of interest in the LRIP solicitation with 421 applications. This is nearly double the number we received 3.5 years ago when we last had a funded solicitation. With a high number of applications, it will take us a little longer than originally anticipated to review applications, make recommendations, and assemble the LRIP advisory committee to determine the final awards. We plan on holding the LRIP advisory committee meeting towards the end of May or early June with the announcement of awards shortly thereafter. This is 1 month later than originally anticipated. And he just asked, please let us know if this revised schedule will affect or impact you and your project in application for this funding. So when we applied for it, we applied for it to be done in 2022. So the funding has been set aside for that, and we are only responsible for the engineering. And I think our portion, Todd, I don't have it in front of me if I remember right. Like 500. Yeah.
So it's like a for sure thing, we're getting this grant?
No.
So we have no idea. So we're going into.
If we get the grant, we go to all 3 miles.
Right.
If we don't get the grant next year, 2022, we'll be looking at fixing roughly 800 or 900 feet in like this section, that section.
And that's what we'll talk about during our budgeting meeting in a couple of weeks, is how we're gonna handle 55th if we don't get the LRIP. But again, we're not gonna know about LRIP until June. And right now we're talking 2021. So in 2021, our project is overlay of Brickton Road along with hopefully doing the culvert. So we have the money and everything that we looked at back in February or January 5th, when we had our discussion about the roads. And we had 60 available for an overlay, and that was the Brickton Road portion. And I think we had a little money left over from 2020. I don't know exactly what we had left over. We didn't spend that full.
We're still, at the end of the year, we're still sitting with well over 400,000 in the 2 funds, the general fund and the road and bridge, with that 108,000 CD. So as long as basically we stay within like 1 year's levy, we're still sitting fairly comfortable. So really, if we were to dip into, say, another just the 30,000 for the culvert, it's not like we're going to be in the hole.
Right. I just wish I had it all.
Yeah,
laid
I
out.
will lay it out better.
But we have to. I'm just not comfortable making that motion without having everything.
No, I don't think we're ready to tonight.
Well, I think we need to move on at least the overlay.
But on the 6th, we can make that final decision.
No, we can't talk about anything else but the budget on the 6th.
Roads.
But we can make that decision?
If that's part of the road discussion, that's part of the.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
I just
know that.
I just want information in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you looking for?
Where we're at with carrying over budget, how much we have left over that we didn't spend from this year. I want to know that. Lay out the complete costs And I think you're right, we gotta, if we do something with the AZ road, it would be foolish not to replace that culvert. Why come back in and tear that road apart when you already laid new?
We're not have to lay it, tear it out. They would bore underneath and put a new culvert in without touching.
How much more cost does that add?
35,000. No matter what, whether we do it now.
So it is the same cost whether they replace it now
I
or
know.
come in later.
No.
Because I highly doubt that.
Well, because there's mobility that you gotta take into account. So if it's a totally, you're gonna have a separate contract. Todd, if you wanna touch on that maybe a little bit on the you know,
Yeah,
the cost.
the $35,000 is included in their bid. So that's what the cost is today. If you put it off and do it next year, we rebid it and you get a new cost, and yeah, maybe it's 36,000 next year. So
Yeah, because that cost that they gave us included mobility and traffic control and all that kind of stuff. So if we do it by itself, it could be 36, it could be 39, we don't know. It could be
We don't
20.
know. We don't
Yeah, we
know.
don't know. We don't know.
The other thing that scares me is if we did wait, I really do see this cost of, well, you see it with lumber now, or 3 times the price. It's gonna get that way with any kind of building materials, or same with road materials.
Yeah, we don't want to let that, I wouldn't want to let the pavers go. Anyway, because gas prices have gone up since they gave us the quote back in February.
Yeah.
Or whatever that was. March.
yeah, February 11th, yep.
Okay, so we'll discuss that and
On April 6th.
decide the 6th. Good. We're good with that, Todd? Deciding on the
Okay.
6th?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Next item would be approval to pursue joint powers agreement with the city of Princeton, Crackville, chip seal.
Yeah, I'm just asking the board if it's okay that I pursue a joint powers agreement with the city of Princeton and work with Jason Hill on that. It's something we did last year. Just wanted to make sure that we're all okay with it. Again, we went through those numbers at the January meeting, so we wouldn't be going over what was discussed at the January meeting.
Just a question on this, instead of doing a joint powers agreement, because we did one last year with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we sit down and talk with the city and see if they want to go on partners on a crack filling, chip sealing machine like Wynett Township owns? They do their own chip sealing. Do we want to talk with them and see how much money they're saving doing it themselves? Would the city be interested in that? I don't know. Maybe it's something they don't want to take on or not, but.
Just so the board knows, Bob is no longer at the city for the city administrator.
Oh, yeah. Who's
the?
No, about your.
You're thinking Bob Burbank.
Yeah.
But I know I talked to Dennis and, Wynett does all their own crack filling and chip sealing. They've got their own machines.
They do have their chip sealing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they just did crack filling.
No, because they had a big pile of it dropped off by the substation there and they did it all last year. So maybe it's something to look into to see how much money we're gonna save doing it, and is it gonna pay for the machine over? Obviously the city's got a hell of a lot more tar than we got, but.
Well, we looked at hiring them to do it last year, no, not last year, probably 4 years ago now. And then shortly after they got the machine, and they charged a $1 a foot. So if you had a crack that went like this, it was this, then this, and this. So just going across the road, it could be 20 cents, 25 to 30 bucks.
Yeah, that's what Wynett was gonna charge.
Yeah.
That's, I'm just questioning, is that something, is Bob getting
It's
the same
something that's
treatment?
definitely worth looking into.
See, and maybe they're not, I have no clue, but.
I don't know how much savings they have.
We can, yeah, I can ask. I don't, of course, we're not gonna be able to do that this year. But just so you understand what we did with the joint powers last year is I gave all the quantities to Bob. He included that with his quantities, and I met with the company that was the low bid. And I worked in the deal so that they would haul the rock for us and they would keep the rock. So it saved us like $5,000 for us having to haul it and find some place to stockpile it. So the Allied had their sweeper, they swept it up into the Princeton top trucks and they hauled it to their facility. and that was the payment for that. So that's how that worked out and worked out really well. So but I'll ask Kenny, see what he has to say and what they think their savings are on that. So
Do you need a motion to do the approval to start talking with the city, or?
we might as well. I got one right here.
I'll make a motion to approve the work with Jason Helen pursuing joint powers agreement with the city of Princeton for crack filling and chip sealing project for this year.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve pursuing joint powers agreement with the city of Princeton, crack seal, chip sealing with Jason's guidance. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I guess this one we can go by voice.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Moving on to supervisors reports. Fire report.
We missed one.
You forgot the NLCs.
Oh,
This is important. This is important.
yeah, Mille Lacs County. Yeah, just the border review schedule. I think, or minutes, I think it was off a date, if I remember right. It is Princeton Township at 6 PM on April 21st.
Mille Lacs County assessor requested that change, just because it accommodates his schedule a little better, he has to do that.
Because originally they had us at 6 and Princeton City at 7, and they felt that that could be a problem if many people came in. I don't know that we can really set the date. It's got to be it's kind of set by them.
Yeah, but it was passed as the 22nd, so should probably approve just moving it.
Okay.
Keep it.
Motion, I'll move to change the date from the border review from the 22nd to the 21st at 6 PM. Second?
Second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? And just respond or quick information, Bill and I are both certified to attend or to be sit in on it or officiate or whatever the term is. And you can see on the bottom of this page, how many townships do not have anybody or that went through the qualifications, so they end up doing an open book meeting. It's really probably doesn't mean a lot, but it's kind of nice. If somebody does come in, they can actually see live people that they can talk to. Motion's been made and second. Is there any discussion? Not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to change from 22nd to the 21st, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Next item, business, road report. No. Yeah, road report.
Yep, I already read the email on the LRIP status, so that's where we're at on that. We'll be discussing other road issues at next week's, or the next meeting on April 6th, so I don't have anything there. I did want to report that the windshield on the tractor shattered on Saturday afternoon, so we need to get that replaced. They can't quite figure out why. I think Dale and I have an inkling as to why it might be, and we're thinking that the weight of that boom mower at the end is causing the tractor to twist, and it just, by using that boom mower, it just shattered into a million pieces.
You pick up a rock and.
No, because the boom's out the back and it was in the front. It's dropped out. Yeah, it didn't pick up a rock. There's nothing up. Kenny, do you have anything to add? Is that basically?
No, I think your theory is right. I mean, you had the boom mower out, and for the length of that tractor, as opposed to other tractors doing the same thing with a John Deere or a New Holland that are international, their frames are longer than what the frame is on that Massey. And with having that boom out and where it broke up in the far left-hand corner of the windshield, and the boom's out here, and this it would be a natural twist that, on that largest piece of glass on the frame and that, and where it broke. That's what I mean, there was no sign of anything on there, a scratch in the paint on any area up on that corner where anything could have actually hit it. It just, I think we just did crack from the weight of the mower.
So there's still a windshield in it, or it's kind of?
No, the whole top section is one piece of glass, and it just
Pretty much we can
it shattered
use
just
that
like side window glass. It's not
Well,
laminated glass.
no. No, you're right.
Right.
Right, just keep continuous proof.
So do we have to,
So we
Well,
got,
we got kind of an issue here on that, because I mean, if you got that tractor to flex that goddamn much, you're lucky it didn't tip over.
Well, I asked him about that. He said he wasn't on any, he was up on the road far enough, so there was no flexing as far as the ditch giving or anything like that. I just think that mower is oversized with the reach of it for a tractor of that size.
there's weights on the outside too of that.
do we have inner wheel weights?
Yeah, it's on the opposite side of where the boom would be.
So you don't have an equal weight on each side?
You'll have to look at it. No, they added all the weights to the left side because the boom was gonna be out to the right.
Yeah.
And I think they even turned the tires, the wheels out so that it had a little bit wider stance. But it's hooked to the 3-point hitch. It's not hooked to the frame, so all we can think is that there's a torsion onto the frame and onto the cab.
I mean, is this tractor rated for this more?
You can't go 100% if it says it can handle it. You gotta go maybe 75, 80% of it, so
What does that mower weigh? But if it's on a 3-point hitch, the weight should be centered.
Yeah.
I don't know, like your torsion,
That little corner.
it's all hanging up there, 15, 20 feet.
This is all just mesh. It's like millions of pieces, but that corner,
You can look at
which
it.
indicated to me that corner is where the flex busted it out.
Actually, look at this.
So I guess the discussion is well, we either turn it in
Yeah, it almost looks like.
and ask them to replace it, or we have a glass company try to replace it.
Did it bend that frame? Look at the upper corner of that picture.
I don't know.
Yeah, it almost looks like there'd be a crack in there.
Almost looks like it did damage to the frame.
We
got insurance on this thing?
We have it insured with MATIT, so we should be able to get that reimbursed.
But, okay, so we get this fixed. Obviously, it's gonna be a recurring issue.
Maybe,
Did you see that?
yeah. Well, it's hard to tell from that. I mean, yes, yeah.
It looks like it actually.
It's in the back. You can look at it later if you'd like. So, I don't know if we need to have a motion to get that windshield fixed, because at this point,
Warranty.
we can't be used.
No, it's not, it's out of warranty.
So just be covered under warranty?
Well, I meant the insurance.
So we just get it fixed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Any other questions on that? So,
Can you do some researching to see actually what that thing is rated for? And I mean, did we get a good deal on this mower? And, because if that tractor, I mean, that shouldn't happen like that. That's, something's not jiving there. So if that's not rated for it, especially if you're not on if you were on any kind of a angle at all, and it flexed that tractor enough to break that windshield on flat ground, you put a little angle on it, that son of a bitch is gonna go right on its side. I mean, with that mower, I mean, it just.
I wasn't out there, but I know Dale's driven tractor enough that he knows that he wouldn't be,
I'm not saying it's operator error, I'm just looking at it right now. I mean, if that
I know
tractor
what
was
you're
flat.
saying, but another issue that we have is I can't find a single book on anything that's got to do with the tractor or any of the mowers. We don't have a manual on any of it. I would like to get a full set of manuals for the operator and parts manuals for the tractor and both mowers that we have. So if there is something in there, how far to extend that mower out or whatnot. But there is nothing that I've seen since this new board has started that, on any of those three pieces of equipment.
Call Crawford's. That's where all that stuff comes from, call Crawford's. I think as far as it comes with the
Well, they were
safety
here at
stuff, I
one
think
time.
they're required to give
They
it. I
were-
mean, hell, I think you can get it on the internet.
Yeah.
Snowmobiles, four-wheelers and all that stuff. You can go right online and get it.
All of the manuals are available. And I don't know why we wouldn't have gotten them to begin with, but I know, I'm fairly certain that they were here at one time, but I don't know whatever happened.
And I did ask Dale, I said, did you have it fully extended? How, where were we at? And he didn't have it. He said he might have had it halfway out, so it wasn't even really up to that far. I mean, it's a big piece of equipment.
It's a heavy mower, no doubt about that.
It just more sounds like it's mismatched equipment to me.
Yeah.
I think it is, but but I don't think that mower, that tractor would handle a reclaimer either.
Issue I'd like to talk about. So we don't need a motion on that or nothing?
No,
No, it should just be.
I got a call on the dead end dirt road. It's 105th Avenue. It's the one that broke right by the barn. This lady's getting stuck coming out of her driveway. And I went down there and I looked at it and I took a picture, and you can see that the water is staying. This is where she got stuck. You can see the rut. The water isn't draining off. There's no bevel to it. And if you look from the first house driveway, which is just before you get to the curvature, all the way back,
I know, I've already talked to her.
all the way back to size, we need to lay rock and class 5 down. So I had Justin from West Branch Construction come out and look at it, and he's gonna put a bid together and get it here.
Okay, well, the issue with that is though, we've already approved a bid. We've got a road grader bid that we've already accepted for a quote, and we've got a road maintenance that we already accepted. So, and our road grader is gonna take care of it. I already talked to Steve. I've dealt with this, so he's gonna be out Thursday. It's just all we've gotta do is this, we're doing the whole north half with gravel, so they're gonna be out there with gravel. Yeah, and I talked to Darlene, doesn't matter, and I just said it's spring.
Well, there's nothing we can do until,
It's spring. I mean, just stay on the middle of the road. Don't be driving up by the grass. It's spring. I mean, so, I mean, it's being dealt with. I think, thanks for bringing it up and thanks for talking to her. I think Thomas talked to her. I spoke with her. Doug spoke with her. So we're taking care of her. But Steve will be out this week. That was another thing I did want to mention. So he was gonna get out a little earlier, but with all the rain coming, it was just like, there's no use of going out there with all this rain. It's just gonna make a mess. So should be out Wednesday or Thursday, and he's gonna be hitting all the roads. It's gonna take probably 2 days to.
so are we putting rock down and then class 5 on top, or you just
You'll
go
look at
straight class 5?
Part of it is, you know, the farmers that farm down there?
Yeah.
We just gotta make sure that when we come out of the fields with all the mud, don't leave the mud in the road, because it just turned it really slimy. That's kind of a lot of the issue there, is that it's kind of been the gravel or the mud from the road gets onto the gravel, and then it's in the fall, then it freezes solid, and then in the spring, when it gets a little warm, it turns into a pigsty. So that's what we got going on down there.
It wasn't wet last fall.
But it's wet now.
It's wet now.
You're right. So, yeah.
That's
He doesn't need to get.
that's more than just a field mud.
No.
I mean, that's,
John, so just, you might want to give West Branch a call and tell them it's not necessary.
And I drove around a little bit the last couple of days, and we are seeing some frost boils.
yeah, a lot.
So we can expect to start getting some calls.
110th, which I think Greenbush takes care of, because that's a joint. Princeton Township's on one side, Greenbush is on the other. I believe they're the ones that are grading that.
Which, this one right here?
110th,
Yeah,
just
they do
right
that.
across the bridge.
Yeah.
To the right.
Well,
There's a lot of potholes in that.
That's the county road. To the left, south is 110th.
110th, so here's Kevin Colton-Driver's place. It's the first dirt road going down past his house.
To the north?
To the north.
That's a county road.
That dirt road's county?
Yeah,
How did that end up being a county road?
that's a county road. The south is 110th, which is a shared road, and Greenbush takes care of that one.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a road map in there. I should maybe get a copy for all you guys, so you can kind of see.
I just assumed that was a township road.
Yeah, no,
It's county on the north side of 13. It's township on the high side. You go across 13 and it's county.
Okay. But that's that's real rough.
yeah.
You're in the truck, just bouncing.
Yeah, I've always noticed that out there for plowing, because my road seldom gets plowed until the very end, but I come out of my road and just plowed full width and the other across 13, so it's county that does that, and we're township. And Greenbush generally is they're the one that take care of it.
I don't have anything more. Can you give me that? Can you give me, screen again? Can you give me the screen real quick?
Oh.
The last thing I had for the fire board was the same information I was going to share at the annual meeting, and I'll share that quickly here.
You are a presenter?
I am presenting, all right.
Usually once we do it once, it shouldn't change.
So Princeton Fire Rescue, last year, they responded to, there we go. Okay, Princeton Township had 18% of call volume, and then there's all the numbers for the building fires. They had 2, grass fires 7, EMS down the list. The one that I wanted to highlight was the medical assist and the assist EMS crews. This was the one that I think has been of most concern to the townships, is that when they're getting calls, a lot of times they're just assisting loading people into the ambulance, and there's really not a lot of use for them to be there. So they're looking at that, and primarily the issue of that is, from what I understand, it's the dispatching. So they're going to be working with the dispatches on what needs to be actually called out for the township to actually make those runs. And I don't know if I'm getting all the verbiage correctly. So Dan, if you had anything you wanted to add to this, you can.
I mean, pretty much with the medical calls, it's not the fire department doesn't want to do medical calls anymore. It's just some of these calls that we're going at, and we're doing nothing, and it's chipping away at the fire budget. And at the end of the year, when the budget's all said and done, whatever's left rolls into the truck and equipment fund. And when we're going on 429 calls a year, there's nothing left. And if they can't start getting that truck and equipment fund built back up, I guarantee they're going to come back out with their hands out again and ask for more money to buy trucks. And, our budget's going to be going up every year for fire coverage. We got to get that in check to make sure that we're protecting our residents. So that's where I'm pushing at with the fire advisory board.
Thank you. So historically, the original that we had in 2019 was 52,640. 2020 contract was 54,940, and 2021, without the truck debt, we're at 55,090. One other thing that we wanted to point out, I know Gene was going to be talking about this when we discuss budget issues, so you're going to see this chart more than one time. So since 2009, our approximate road or fire service fee was the 45,000. As many of you know, we have not had a levy raise in 14 years, I believe it is. And I've had a couple of emails from Steve Fensky on this issue from MAT. Basically, we've lost, just from the consumer cost index side of things, 20% of our buying power. So one of the things that we're talking about at the bottom there, you'll see a $10,000 proposed increase. And that's just to try to get us a little closer to what we've lost, because the actual number of what we've lost over the last 14 plus years is about $85,000. Because you gotta compound that money that we've lost every year. So if we're only taking in, a certain amount of $45,000 and we've never increased the coverage for fire, it's 752, then 752 plus 752, maybe to the right. So we're about $85,000 behind just what we've lost in fire coverage in the last 14 years. So
You're missing $145,000 out of that.
plus $145,000 for the truck that we spent in 2019, I believe. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, we'll be seeing this again over the next few meetings. We'll be talking about budget issues. So that's all I had for the fire report. Gene, you're up.
Just a quick explanation of what happened with the city annexation. They annexed 41 acres, 41 points odd acres, just east of, well, by the fire hall.
Edmonds place.
Yeah. And the reason that the township couldn't contest it because it was brought out by the owners. But before they sold it, or before they annexed it out of the township, they sold it to the city. The city removed it from our tax rolls, so we don't have any recourse for trying to recover anything from it. Even though the city has a statute that they would pay 50%, 40, 30, 20, and 10% of our lost revenue. But because they annexed it and took it off the tax rolls before they annexed it, we don't get a dime. And there wasn't a thing we
How long
could
has
do
it been in motion? This is the first I've heard of that.
Well,
I know they talked, we did the annexation for the expansion for the fire department for that pole barn that they built behind there, but I don't remember.
The worst part was when they published it, they put it as Township of Baldwin. And then in the fine print, they put the Township of Princeton. Doug and I both called them on that the day that came out. And I immediately called Jason Hill and the airport attorney. And they both said, basically, there's nothing we could do about it. Jason looked into it because they took it off the tax rolls by buying it from a group bought it and then they sold it to the city. The city removed it from tax rolls. Nothing
We
we
didn't
could do.
get any notification of it being removed prior.
Just the one that said that was in the city or township of Baldwin.
Well,
And I said, that's illegal, but John Jenkins said, no.
Didn't seem to be terribly upset
No.
when I pointed out that that's Princeton Township.
Yeah. So we had, I mean, it would have been, what, $700 total for the 5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like it broke the bank, but it was just kind of.
gets under your skin.
Yeah.
No, correct me if I'm wrong. What about the dental office and stuff like that along on the north side of that property? Is that
That's still
city or
township.
that's township?
It's township.
So now the city is pretty much going all the way along that. So how long until we lose all that?
I'm afraid you're gonna keep whittling away now.
Maybe we should, at some point in time, do like what Livonia and Zimmerman are doing and come up with a planned annexation. Sit down and talk with them and discuss and figure out what areas, I mean, after they're done with that, you can pretty much guarantee Denai and all that. I mean, if they're looking at growing their area,
Like one of the,
I mean, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I mean, it's gonna happen.
at a city planning commission meeting, they talked about running sewer and water lines under the bridge by the roundabout and running it out to Denai and whatever. And they said the biggest obstacle there is because of the 1 acre lots. And that they already have sewer and water, that it'd be difficult for them to put in.
Well, they also have a problem with the river right there because that river's not,
Well, but
you
yeah,
have to go down quite a bit to avoid that river and they've had a lot of reports of problems with it, so.
'cause they talked about running,
Utilities on the bridge, so don't do that.
but anyway, it's been discussed.
Kristen.
And I think when they talked about that, the next thing was, well, wouldn't it be easier to go to the west side than northeast? All right, moving on. Just to let you know what happened and why it happened and that we couldn't do a thing about it. I did have Jason Hill look into it. There was really nothing we could do the way they did it. Township Planning Commission, Mr. Miller.
Not a lot to report on. We already discussed it. The big kind of deal was that Mr. Keppel and his property there, but they're gonna have to sit down and work on that and see what they can get figured out on that. So nothing really to report on that.
Yeah, thank you. We will move on to new business, electronic transfers policy, and that was something that came out of the.
And does everyone have that policy? Distributed it in the packet.
Let me look at half my tree that I have sitting here.
I know, it was, we had to go out in the back and take down a couple more trees to get the paper to send the packet out. Actually, we could have used those that you took out, right?
Yeah, could have.
Anyway, as I said, that when I was going through the audit with the winter, they brought up the point of having an electronic funds transfer, wire transfer policy that covers the electronic funds, it covers debit card, it covers ACH, which is just a variation on funds transfers. So that it just authorizes the township to participate in it. When we set it up last year, it was on the basis of a recommendation under COVID that we do as much by electronic means as possible. But we didn't do an EFT. I didn't even know that this existed until the auditors brought it up. It's very helpful. So this was a policy that was provided through the township. And I think I also sent out the statute covering this, covering these factors. So what we need is that this policy is approved, and then the next item on there is a delegation to the clerk treasurer for the authority to make those transactions. And that will get us in compliance with that requirement.
Accept the motion to approve the electronic wire fund transfer policy.
Oh,
Motion's been made, seconded. Is there any discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the electronic wire funds transfer policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We will now entertain a motion to allow Mr. Dahl to be the only one.
Yes.
The authorized agent to the electronic wire transfers. Is that a motion?
I move the motion.
Motion's been made, seconded by Mr. Wilhelm. Any discussion? If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to appoint Mr. Dahl as the representative for the electronic wire transfer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. On my list, I have, I'm looking at the same one you do too.
Civic donation.
Okay, civic donation budget. In 2019, when we set the budget at the annual meeting, we already had planned for $4,800. When we set the new budget for 2020, we presented it with 0 donations, and people in the group at the annual meeting were overwhelmingly in favor of discontinuing donations to 501c3s. We never really had a formal motion to end civic donations. We just, by putting 0 in the donations, we just ended it. Probably be more appropriate to actually have a motion before us to end civic donations. So
I move the motion to end civic donations and set the budget at 0.
motion been made and seconded to end civic donations, set the budget at 0. Any discussion?
Just wanted to point out that we did, after that meeting, we do have a policy on the website that discusses that and reaffirms what was just mentioned here.
We did, but we never had a formal motion, so it's nice to have a formal motion.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? More discussion? If not, proceed to vote. All in favor of motion to end civic donations and with 0 budget, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Motion to request quotes for gravel.
I don't know if I need to get that or not, but I just wanted to make sure I'll be calling three places here. If everybody's okay with me getting a quote from Steve Hass, West Branch, and Brian Dahlheimer.
Have fun.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, we need a motion, so we'll move on to establish subcommittees to interview and hire new road maintenance employee.
Did we lose an employee or did we lose an employee?
Yep, Steve Weiger, he's been working with the bus company and with him trying to get with COVID and everything, it's just his time during the day is so limited. And to try to work with Dale or anything like that, it's kind of tough. So last fall we had somebody request to fill an application. I said, you're welcome to fill an application if you want. You know, we didn't have anything posted. So we've had someone with their application since last fall, and I gave him a call this spring, and he's still interested. So last year, Dan and I interviewed 2 people, and we just wanted to see, well, I haven't talked to Dan, maybe I did mention, just if it's okay if we interview this applicant. Because I don't feel safe having one person out on the road, especially if we're doing roadside type things that are outside of a vehicle, doing brush clearing, anything like that. It's really good. Best to have 2 people there. So we want to hire a second person for those types of things. And some of this stuff, we're limited on the time. You know, they're both going to be probably working 40-hour jobs. So this is something that they're doing on the weekends or their spare time. So we don't want to, you know, a mowing job that we hope to get done in a month, taking 2 months, which just hasn't been an issue yet, but it could happen. So we just want to have a backup. You guys all right?
Yep.
Okay. So Dan and I will meet with this person and do an interview and take it from there. Thank you.
Just to add to that, I don't think it would be harmful for us to have a couple signs, like or road crew or something, but especially like when you're cutting trees or something.
Yep. So some of those pop-up signs that are, you can fold up and, okay. Oh, I did look into those too, so. Would you like to set a dollar amount on those? Look into it first.
Okay, dollars. Let's.
Why don't you look into it and bring it to our next meeting?
Great.
Okay.
And that could probably be brought up at the April or the special meeting.
We'll put that in the budget
Yeah.
for roads, so.
Yeah. Sounds good. Is there any further business to come before this meeting?
My note says here, Board of Audit correct procedure, we already touched
Oh,
base on that.
Yeah. Did you all get this? Did everybody get this sheet?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's,
Yeah, and basically what we do is we could do and we always should have done was sometime after the end of the year before, and probably before this goes to Leonard and Leonard, is have our Board of Audit. And basically we pick out a couple transactions, a couple receipts and a couple disbursements and basically track how they show up on the item sheets.
I report everything out. What I understand is I report everything out and then you select from that and say, well, let's have a look at this, let's have a look at that. And especially you want to make sure that you review all of the disbursements to any official or employee. just review all those.
Yeah, they suggest picking out 3 basically arbitrary
Plus.
and then just,
Yeah, from what I've always heard, the way the process works is the board get together and each guy, okay, I want to see that one, and that one, you want to see that one, and that's, so I actually brought this up a while ago because I was kind of surprised we weren't doing it, so.
yeah, and that's the way
Oh,
it's
I'm
always
sorry,
been.
Dan. I must have missed that one, sorry.
No, it's,
It was completely new to me.
I don't know that I ever brought it up in an actual meeting, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Penske, the MAT lead attorney, basically told us that what we were doing is just waiting until the audit was over and then just the outside audit was not what Board of Audit's supposed to be doing, so we will correct that for the future. Any further discussion? Any other business probably come before the meeting? Motion to adjourn has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded.
Second and thirded.
At 9:50 p.m.
Is there, okay, we cannot have discussion, so all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. And Mr. Dahl could say the closing.
We have a job